This is Josiah Classic Mindset, and this video is going to be a complete humidor guide that'll help you select the proper cigar storage solution for your cigars. Let's get into it. So first, let's start by talking about what a humidor is. So a humidor is a device that keeps your cigar safe and in the ideal smokable condition. It does this by physically protecting your cigars and allowing you to manipulate both the humidity and the temperature of the environment around your cigars. This is important because cigars are a natural product. So to maintain that volatile natural product, you have to make sure the atmosphere that they're sitting in is suitable for that. Well, in some cases, humidors do have built-in temperature and humidification systems. Most humidors you're going to come across are simply a vessel that contains that atmosphere and allows you the ability to manipulate less environment, so it's more efficient. Alright, so let's talk about the three major pillars that make humidors work: physical protection, humidity, and temperature. So the first thing a humidor is going to provide your cigar is physical protection. And while that may be pretty obvious, let's talk about it for a second. So humidors are going to provide a protective layer, whether that's hard plastic or wood or glass around your cigars, that simply protects them from bumps and bruises. Many humidors will also have various compartments for organization or maybe inserts such as foam that add extra layers of protection. So next, let's talk humidity. Most people will agree that the ideal RH, or relative humidity, for your cigars is right around 70%. RH, or relative humidity, is the measurement of moisture in the air around your cigars. This humidity can be regulated both up and down in quite a few ways, but we'll get into that in the next part of the video. Temperature control is extremely important for the stability of your cigars while storing and aging them long term. It'll also prevent annoying things like tobacco beetles and your cigars kind of getting destroyed, but we'll dig into that here shortly. So now that we know how humidors work at a high level, let's talk about the various types of humidors. So the first type of humidor we're going to get into is a small or travel humidor, like maybe this or like this. This type of humidor is going to be great for someone that just wants to store maybe 2 to 3 cigars. Maybe they go to the shop and only buy 1 or 2 at a time that they smoke pretty quickly, or maybe they just don't buy cigars very frequently at all. These humidors are also awesome to have on hand if you travel with cigars. They're great for taking 3 cigars to an event or a party, or maybe to the cigar lounge with you. It helps keep them protected while you're traveling and keeps the humidity and temperature relatively under control. The next humidor we're going to talk about is the desktop humidor, and this is probably the most standard and widely used humidor on the market. It's probably what you've seen when you've been doing research. So this humidor is going to be awesome for someone that wants to store maybe between 1 and 50 cigars. The upper end is really just going to depend on the size of your desktop humidor. These humidors would be great for the cigar smoker who buys maybe a box of cigars every once in a while, or buys somewhere around 5 or 6 cigars at a time. The next step up from a desktop humidor is going to be an electronic temperature controlled humidor. So these humidors are going to be awesome for storing somewhere between maybe 50 and 500 cigars, depending on the size and brand that you buy. Typically, these electronic humidors will offer many more storage options than a desktop humidor will, simply because they're so big and you can put drawers and things like that inside of them. A bigger humidor like that is going to be ideal for someone who buys maybe boxes of cigars more frequently, or intends to store cigars for a long period of time and enjoys the hobby of aging cigars. One of the best parts of these humidors is they have a built-in refrigeration unit, just like a little fridge or maybe like a wine cooler, that allows you to dial in the temperature 100% perfect. And pretty much the final form of humidors is gonna be a very large format cabinet or maybe furniture style humidor. These humidors pretty much have the widest range of customization and storage potential, and typically will store anywhere from maybe 500 to 5,000 plus cigars. The capabilities of those humidors are also gonna vary greatly. Some of them will be simple, just like a desktop humidor, and they'll simply be a really nice cabinet with extra insulation where you still have to manage the temperature and humidity yourself. Some of them will be very custom or extremely advanced with computer systems that regulate airflow, temperature control, and humidity with a built-in regulated system. The sky really is the limit for those custom furniture style humidors. They're typically for people that have been collecting cigars for years and years, and they can really range with just your imagination and your budget, maybe from $1,500 to $10,000 plus dollars. So now that you understand the different pillars of humidors and the different styles of humidors out there, let's dig deep into that first pillar, humidification. It's important to understand that most humidors simply help maintain your humidity and your environment. They don't produce or remove humidity. As mentioned before, some advanced humidors definitely do have built-in systems that regulate temperature and humidity, but for the most part, the average desktop humidor is gonna rely on something like floral foam, silica beads, Boveda packs, or some sort of added-in humidification system to maintain your humidity. One of the most common ones that comes with basic desktop humidors is gonna be a strip of foam that clips into the bottom of the humidor. In order to add humidity to your humidor, you're simply going to soak that foam in water. When the lid is closed, it's going to dump that excess humidity into the air of your humidor, making the environment more humid. Foam is probably the least optimal way to control the humidity inside of your humidor. It'll definitely work. The downside is it's not really very calculated, and it only adds humidity to your humidor. There's no way to suck excess humidity out, so you're kind of constantly trying to monitor and manipulate it. The next way to regulate humidity we're gonna talk about is silica or gel beads, like these ones right here. So these are definitely a step up from the foam because they have two-way humidification. Based on the listed RH on your packet, so this one is a 70 RH, it'll pump humidity into your humidor up to that 70% mark. And then anytime your humidor is above 70% humidity, the beads will actually suck up that excess, maintaining a consistent 70% RH in your box. The downside with these beads versus maybe Boveda packs, which is the next thing we're gonna talk about, is they're not really self-contained like the packs. I mean, they can kind of break open and maybe leak a little bit and get into your box. So these are definitely a really great option, but I would say not maybe the best option, but definitely a step up from just foam. So one of the best options, in my opinion, is gonna be Boveda packs. They work a lot like silica beads in the fact that they offer that two-way humidification. They expel humidity based on whatever percentage RH you have. These Boveda packs come in all different types of RH ranges and sizes. You can get 84s, 65, 72s, based on whatever humidity you find optimal for your humidor. The main benefit I would say to the Boveda packs over the silica beads is like they're self-contained in this pack. You can throw them around, stuff them in every drawer within your humidor, and you never have to worry about them breaking open or leaking or anything like that. They're kind of the perfect non-electronic option for humidity, in my opinion. I would say one of the major downsides of the Boveda packs and the silica beads are that they do run out eventually. They will dry out and you'll have to replace the beads and replace the packs, so you're kind of continuously spending money on those things. With that said, if you do use something like a foam that you're refilling with water or an electronic humidification device that maybe over humidifies a little bit, you can throw the packs or the beads in your humidor to suck up all that excess humidity. And since they're sucking it up and not using their humidity, they'll last for over a year sometimes. So it makes them a very cost-effective option to make sure that that humidity is just dialed in your humidor. So So the final form of regulating humidity within your humidor is going to be an electronic humidification device. So these are small devices that you can either add to your existing humidor, like the Cigar Oasis one I have in my system, or sometimes they already exist built in or integrated into a higher end humidor. Basically, you're gonna add distilled water or some sort of humidification liquid to these devices. They then have a built-in hygrometer that senses the humidity in the air within your humidor. And based on that RH atmosphere, a computer will kick a fan on in that device and it'll pump humidity throughout your humidor, keeping it pretty much perfect. If you've ever walked into the big walk-in humidor in your local cigar shop and seen some machine in the corner shoot a big blast of mist into the air, it's kind of like a smaller version of that for an at-home humidor. Now that we understand all of the humidification systems of your humidor, this takes us into the next step that comes with monitoring the humidity: hygrometers. So the hygrometer is the other part of your humidification system that's extremely important. It's basically a gauge in your cigar, whether analog or digital, that allows you to monitor and understand the level of humidity within your humidor. Depending on the readout on your hygrometer, you're gonna either wanna increase, decrease, or maintain your humidity levels. You know, they have digital versions, kind of like this one right here, that you can add inside of any humidor. Many will also have these integrated analog ones on the front of the humidor, but I would definitely recommend getting your hands on a digital hygrometer, even if you have an integrated analog one. I've personally found that the analog ones are not as accurate as the digital ones. They have a bigger variance and discrepancy. So owning the hygrometer and knowing what it says really is just part of the equation. In order for that data to be meaningful, you have to make sure that it's calibrated. Calibrating your hygrometer for your humidor is pretty simple. What I would say is either grab some 65% or maybe 84% Boveda packs, put them inside of a Ziploc bag with a hygrometer for maybe 24 or 48 hours. At the end of 48 hours, you can go into your bag, take your hygrometer, and calibrate it to the percentage of RH on your Boveda pack, so you know that it's dialed in and reading properly. From here, you should be able to trust it going forward, unless you maybe drop it or something weird happens. So now that we've talked about and understand the complete two-part humidification system of your humidors, let's jump into temperature. The ideal temperature in which you should store cigars is between 62 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're planning on storing the cigars for maybe a really long period of time and experimenting with aging, I would probably stay in the lower end of that spectrum, maybe in the mid-60s. So tobacco plants are plagued by annoying pests called tobacco beetles that actually harvest off of the tobacco plants in the field. And oftentimes these little beetle eggs will get in the tobacco that winds up in your premium cigar. If your cigar gets too hot for too long, above that 75-degree mark, these tobacco beetle eggs can actually hatch and start to infest your humidor and eat your cigars. If you ever open up your humidor one day after not really paying attention to it and start to see weird little pinholes in your cigars, you probably have a tobacco beetle infestation. And unfortunately, that's not really salvageable most of the time, and you probably destroyed your stash and have to start over. With simple desktop or travel humidors, you actually have to maintain that temperature manually by keeping it in maybe a darker, cooler area of your house, like a closet on an interior wall or something like that. Ultimately, anywhere that's gonna be in that high 60, low 70 degree range should be fine. One of the awesome parts about these electronic humidors, again, is they have that built-in temperature system, so you can keep your cigars pretty much anywhere, and it's just part of the equation you really never have to worry about. So that's pretty much all the important factors that go into actually maintaining and upkeeping a humidor. So now let's maybe talk about the ideal humidor for you. So the right humidor for you is going to be dependent on quite a couple different factors. Things like how many cigars you plan to collect, where you plan to keep or store your humidor. Do you need something that allows you to transport or travel with cigars? Is it something you want to keep on your desk at work? Do you want something that is kind of built into your home or feels like a piece of furniture? Or do you just want something that has tons of storage and has no management and budget doesn't really matter to you? Or maybe you're just somewhere in the middle. So for most people kind of just getting into the hobby of cigars or maybe growing in their interest, I do have kind of a standard setup I would recommend to most people. I'd say you should probably get your hands on a decent desktop humidor, maybe like a 25 to 50 count. I'd probably invest in a decent digital hygrometer on top of the analog one that's built in, just so you can really monitor and maintain your humidity. And I would say buy, a 5 or 10 pack of Boveda packs and just load that thing to the brim with 65% packs. That's how I would approach it. Now, me personally, I would say probably don't stop there. I think almost everyone can benefit from having at least one, 3 to 5 count travel humidor. It's just gonna always be there when you need it for, maybe going to a party and you wanna bring a couple cigars for some buddies, or maybe just yourself because it's a long night, or maybe you just wanna go to the cigar lounge and have a safe, reliable way to travel with your sticks. You can't really go wrong with a small travel humidor. They also make pretty small little like quarter-sized Boveda packs that you can insert into your travel humidors, so you can store cigars in there for more than a couple hours and not really feel bad about it. As you continue to grow into the hobby and you really just get overloaded with that desktop humidor and travel setup, I'd say it's probably a good idea to invest in something with temperature control if you have anything more than 50 cigars on hand frequently. You're definitely going to want to protect that investment and have something that's going to age and store them properly. I'd say like probably a 500 count temperature controlled unit like this one right here will work well for most people for a pretty long time. After you get to the kind of the annoying point I'm at right now, where my temperature controlled basic humidor is just stuffed to the brim and I got stuff falling out, it really just gets pretty expensive and custom. Personally, I'm looking for something maybe in that 3,000 to 5,000 count range that ideally is more clean, glass, stainless steel, and has something that's really just fully automated. I'd really like some electric temperature, humidity control, and really everything built into just one system with some good airflow. So I know as I fill that thing out, I can really feel confident that my cigars are safe and taken care of. With that being said, if there's any companies out there that want to shoot us a big 3,000 or 5,000 count humidor to test out, I definitely wouldn't turn that down. We'll check it out and make a review video on that thing for all you guys. All right, well, I think this video has probably answered like 99% of the questions related to humidors that most of you guys out there have. If I missed anything or maybe this sparked something in your mind, please drop us a comment down below. We'll definitely monitor the comments pretty intensely on this video and be sure to respond to any questions asked down below. All right, well, I'm gonna call this one a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a subscribe to our channel. It'd really mean a lot and help us make more awesome content for you guys just like this one. You can also check out classicmindset.com for additional giveaways and cool stuff going on over there. This is Josiah with Classic Mindset signing off, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take it easy.